the second part of this, we're going to talk about the faults that people have. And I'm not just talking about CrossFitters, I'm talking about everybody, unless they have really delved into mobility and stability work and just functional movement. So let's talk about faults with breathing, because I think breathing is the first step to getting good core stability. So let's figure out what's wrong with it. If you watch any of the little kids running around here, you're going to notice that they have nice little pot bellies, and they walk around like this. They're stomach breathers. They don't have any bad faults already. They don't have bad movement patterns. That is how we are designed to breathe. So now, how do all of us walk around breathing? We suck in because we want to look skinny. We want to appear to look bigger, whether we're a guy or a girl. So we go, you get a shoulder rise, you get more of that upward chest expansion. And the reason that this is a fault is because, one, you have inhibited your diaphragm, one of your most important core muscles. You have also asked all of your neck movers to now work harder. So remember, their job is to move your neck in different directions, and now they have to raise your rib cage. Why do they have to raise your rib cage? Your ribs are attached to bone in the front and in the back. So when you take a breath in, the muscles in between them are going to expand them, but they are limited by how far out they can go. So that means that in order to get a full lung, you have to be able to go outwards and expand lengthwise. If your diaphragm is not letting them go down, they're still going to expand lengthwise, so they are going to expand upwards. So now you just asked all of these muscles up here to do twice as much work. So who gets tension headaches that you can, feel at the base of your skull, or trigger points? Why are we so trap dominant in all of our movements? Because we breathe all day long. So you take, hundreds and thousands of breaths, and you're going like this, just asking everything to shorten and shorten and shorten, and it gets exhausted and it tightens up. So that's one of the major problems with backwards breathing. And we'll get to, there's another one that relates a lot to when we get down here that we'll talk about. But for now, we're going to go to faults in the neck region. And really the only major fault is we do this with our head. It's gravity, it's texting, it's typing at a desk, it's being exhausted and driving. And what this does is this weakens our deep neck flexors. Remember, those are up against your spine. And while they do neck flexion, they're also our neck stabilizer muscles, okay? So if you're not using them, your brain's gonna go, all right, well, we might as well not strengthen them or keep them strong. We're not gonna waste energy there. We're gonna put it elsewhere. So your deep neck flexors start to get weaker, it gets smaller, and then you have this. Why is that important? Because all of your neck movers that are now also helping you breathe have to help you hold up your head so that you're not walking around like this. So now, instead of just doing their one basic function, they're doing 3 times the amount of work that they should be doing. Also, your deep neck flexors are part of your core. Your core they are midline stabilizers. That's your core's job. And your deep neck flexors, because they are midline or very center of your body, they are part of your deep core, okay? So having them out here and having them weak is going to make you weaker. Jason, this is one of the best little parlor tricks that we can show to show this. So arms out in front of you, jut your chin out like we have that anterior head carriage. I want you to resist me. Right? That was nothing. He is way bigger and stronger than me. I'm sorry, it was nothing. All right, now arms up. I want you to give yourself a double chin and activate those deep neck flexors. Now resist me. I can literally hang on him. Okay. So how much of a difference do those stabilizers make? A huge difference. How will this affect your workouts? Anything overhead, whether it's a thruster or an overhead squat or a snatch, the movement standard says that you need to have, thank you, Jason. The movement standard says that you need to have your shoulders behind your ears. Due to a slew of other problems that we'll cover, most people cannot get their shoulders back far enough. So they do that. You go up here, you go here. Much weaker position for you. So imagine how much stronger you could be in that overhead position if all you did was bring your chin back. Food for thought. That's really the biggest problem that we have up here in the neck region. Down in the thoracic and lumbar regions, we'll kind of cover those together because they really are interconnected because of your core muscles. So one of the most common faults you're going to find is this anterior pelvic tilt here. So if you think of your pelvis as a bowl of water, most of us walk around with it dumping water out of the front, okay? This is going to do a couple things. One, we are elongating all of our core muscles, okay? When a muscle is stretched or lengthened, it slows down, it shuts off, it gets weaker, it cannot contract as fast or as hard, okay? So all of our core muscles are weaker. Even if you think you're sucking them in, they're still long. We also get more of this lumbar curve, this lordotic curve here. That's going to go from this to that. That's going to put a whole lot more pressure here at your lumbosacral junction. So anybody who gets that pain right there in their lower back, that's part of it. It's also going to put a little more pressure here at this other junction. These are already high stress points because you notice that the curves change directions, okay? So now we're just adding more stress to them because of this, just from pelvic tilting. What else happens with that pelvic tilt and those weakened core muscles and our bad breathing? You then get rib flare, okay? This is a combination of those things and also just bad posture. You know, you have a weak core, so then you tend to slouch down like this because your core isn't holding you up straight. So you're sitting like this, you're standing like this. You're gonna lose the movement in your middle back or thoracic spine, okay? And then outwardly or related, that's going to mean you're going to lose scapular or shoulder blade stability, because if you're here, your shoulder blades come down, and that's going to lock up your shoulders. We'll cover more of that when we actually do a shoulder workshop, but everything is connected there. So you lose the movement in your mid-back, all right? So now all of a sudden, this entire green section here, instead of moving as little individual joints, they're gonna lock down and move as one. Again, that means every time you go back, more pressure here at that TL junction. That also means that the ribs that attach to all of your thoracic vertebrae in your mid-back are going to flare outward. And because you have an anterior pelvic tilt and your muscles are longer and weaker and tired or turned off, more or less, they're not able to hold those ribs down. So now all of your extension is coming at these joints, and everything is moving in blocks instead of individual segments. We don't want that. Again, that causes lots and lots of pain. And other faults that you might find, because we predominantly work seated these days, and even when we're not working, we're in here, most of our workouts are squat or flexion dominant. You know, the jumping is, any kind of the Olympic lifts, we're squatting. What that's gonna do to that psoas muscle is constantly shorten it, okay? And so it's going to be overworked. Also, when you have those weak abdominal muscles, since they're not working well to hold your core up, what takes over? Your psoas. So you've got a shortened, overworked psoas that's now doing twice as much work as a stabilizer. So that causes even more problems. So really, those are the major faults with our breathing and our core, and that's how they're going to affect our different workouts and affect your day-to-day life.